I personally don't like them, but I feel like they do have a use in today's society.
I think there's no call for using guns. I don't think people should have the right to just carry them as a casual thing.
About it, like, that is one of the basic rights I think we have.
Well, I think, it's every person's right to have one, but the machine guns, I don't think that, it's good for them to have that.
I think that only certain people should have them, people who are given background checks and people who are obviously sane, because there's a lot of insane people out there, and if they can't control themselves, then they shouldn't be able to hold a gun in their hand, and certain ages.
I think that would be a terrifying addition. I would be afraid to walk around at night. I would be, especially considering, when people are out partying, I would be really afraid of people carrying arms. I would be afraid for my own safety and for those that I love.
Like, there's young kids, there's people, like, I just learned in class today, like, adolescence is like the perfect time for people to commit suicide and stuff like that, just like go crazy. So I really don't think, maybe like police, security, maybe, but like as in students themselves and faculty, I don't think that should be necessary.
I don't know about that.
I personally do not feel comfortable having a gun in my hand.
Absolutely not. I think there are other alternatives.
I would purchase a gun for protection, like keep it in my house, if something came in, I would always have it.
As of right now, no, but in the future, if something happens, if I'm living by myself, I'm a single woman, so if that is to happen, then probably, yeah, but as of now, no, I don't think I need one.
It's a constitutional right, so should it be touched?
Well, I think that just in terms of the right to bear arms, I think that today there's not really a call for that. I mean, we have police forces and we have services in place to protect normal citizens. And I think that just everyday people carrying guns is unnecessary.
No, it still applies, but like I said, the machine guns and such, it doesn't apply to that, because you don't go hunting with a machine gun.
I think there's people who can get around the Second Amendment, like they shouldn't do, but I think it's a lot easier for people to get a gun, and I think people should bear arms for particular reasons. Like, they should have a definite reason. There should be someone to say, okay, yeah, that's true, they should be able to hold a gun, and only specific people. I think that's how that should go. But.
So, as we set out this year to defeat the divisive forces that would take freedom away, I want to say those fighting words for everyone within the sound of my voice to hear and to heed, and especially for you, Mr. Gore. From my cold, dead hands,
since Washington's gun law passed, the murder rate actually increased, even while America's murder rate dropped.
Today, by a 2-to-1 vote, a panel of the Federal Appeals Court here said the law violates the constitutional right to bear arms. The ruling revives a long fight over the 27 words of the Second Amendment. Gun control advocates argue that the phrase well-regulated militia means owning a gun is a group right subject to restriction.
Well, no. Read the words. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. Sure, you need an organized military force to defend your country, but the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is the people, in contrast with the militia. It doesn't say the right of the militia to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It says the right of the people. Now, why the word people? Because the people who wrote this had just fought a war for 2 years against the tyrannical state militia. They knew the time might come when they'd have to do that again. So they made the possession of weapons a right that the militia could never take away. Now, gun control advocates say the phrasing is clumsy, and the comma separating the state from the people is just a pause to get your breath. Strange, they can't seem to point out any other places where those hack framers fucked up the wording.
Many people don't realize that today in America, in about 40 states, it is legal to carry a concealed weapon on your person. And in those 40 states, there is no more violent crime or murder than in states where guns are restricted. And here's a controversial idea. Some Virginia Tech students say they wish students had been allowed to carry guns, because one of them might have stopped the killer before he shot so many people. And that's what happened 5 years ago at the Appalachian School of Law. Hearing shots, 2 students went to their cars, got their guns, and helped restrain this shooter until police arrested him.
The problem we have this spat of school shootings going on is because we have a law that discourages people from having a firearm to defend themselves, and these crazy people know it, so they know they can go in there and succeed at their mission.
One of the things that the gun does is it equalizes unequals.
So, gun control isn't necessarily crime control. In fact, the National Academy of Sciences reviewed hundreds of studies and could not document a single gun regulation that reduced violent crime or murder.
John Lott Jr. of the American Enterprise Institute wrote a fascinating column in the New York Post today in which he pointed out that in only 4 of about 280 stories that he found on LexisNexis about that shooting did they mention the fact that 2 of the students who initially were able to subdue that gunman were themselves armed. Now think about that. Why is it that they use things like this as the poster stories of gun control, and yet when you examine the fact of an episode like this, it turns out that guns were used by law-abiding citizens to avoid greater death and mayhem.
I'm not worried about the government saying that I can't carry a gun. I'm going to carry a gun anyway.
I was asked a question about whether or not people should have access under our Constitution and laws to automatic weapons, and I referred the reporter to the factual situation. That in fact, under our Constitution and laws, such access is allowed. I will state boldly, though, that I am a supporter of the Second Amendment, and I believe strongly that law-abiding citizens should have their right to keep and bear arms left intact. The gun control mentality is ruthlessly absurd. It suggests that you pass a law which will bind law-abiding citizens. They won't have access to weapons. Now, we know that criminals, by definition, are people who don't obey laws. Therefore, you can pass all the laws you want. They will still have access to these weapons, just as they have access to illegal drugs and other things right now. That means you end up with a situation in which the law-abiding folks can't defend themselves, and the crooks have all the guns. I don't believe in arming the criminals and protecting the criminal while leaving the law-abiding citizens disarmed and telling our police that they must work under every disadvantage. That doesn't serve order, it doesn't serve law, and it doesn't make